What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the January 30th, 2023 edition of Raw Talk. Jackie Redmond, Matt Camp in the studio replaying the Cody Rhodes promo that started Raw on Monday. That great promo officially announcing Rhodes and Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania 39. They run down the biggest headlines from Monday's show, which I actually enjoyed overall. I thought Monday's Raw was actually a very good show, especially by recent standards, where the show really hasn't been overly interesting at all. Aside from last week's Nostalgia Raw 30 show, which I thought was great, beyond that, Raw has been pretty subpar for most of 2023 so far, so I enjoyed Monday's Raw. The first interview we have here on the show is with Bronson Reed, who qualified for the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match coming up in a couple of weeks at Elimination Chamber. He talks to Byron Saxton, and Byron says, or rather Bronson mentions, that it is indeed a big opportunity for him, but listen, this is a different Bronson Reed from what we know from NXT, he says, a different Bronson than we remember in Japan, a different Bronson than we remember from the minor leagues, which he might be talking about like the independent scene. Honestly, I don't know why he would have done this unless he was just in character. He probably was in character when he said this, unless there is some actual ill will. I took that as a shot at fucking Impact, which is hysterical, because yeah, he was on the indie scene before coming to WWE, but you know, he mentioned NXT, he mentioned Japan, both places is where he was previously. This really isn't that big of a deal, so I'll move on a second, but I just thought it was funny. I'm thinking, is he going to mention Impact? Because he was talking about Japan and NXT. I'm thinking, well, he was also in Impact for a little while, and he mentioned the minor leagues, which, listen, let's face it, fucking Impact is the minor leagues. I just thought it was funny when he said that. He calls himself Big League Bronson. That might be his new nickname going forward, and he says the U.S. Championship will soon belong to him. Back in the studio, Camp and Redmond recap the Johnny Gargano win over Corbin, as well as Rollins' win over Chad Gable, both qualifying for the U.S. Championship Elimination Chamber matchup. They replay the VIP Lounge segment that saw Bobby Lashley accidentally lay out MVP when he was aiming for Austin Theory instead. We hear from Austin Theory backstage with Byron Saxton. Theory says that his challengers are the past, regardless of who they are. It doesn't matter who's in it. It doesn't matter who's already been announced, who's set to come, whatever. And we also found out that Damian Priest it's Damian Priest versus Angelo Dawkins in one qualifier next week, and then the other is Montez Ford versus Elias. So I think we have a pretty good idea of who's going to be in it. But anyway, he says that it doesn't matter who's in the match, and that's about it, because he is the forever and he is the United States champion, and he walks off before Byron can ask his next question. They also replay the Rhea Ripley promo where she officially announced the WrestleMania match of herself against Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Matt Camp praises Ripley and the performance she had in the Rumble and how far she's come. And not only the Rumble performance from Saturday where she started at 1 and won the whole thing, but just the year she had last year. She never held a championship. She didn't hold a single title in 2022, which might have been the first year since 2017, if I'm remembering now, that she didn't hold the championship in WWE. Because in 2021, she was Tag Team Champion and she was Raw Women's Champion. In 2020, she was the NXT Women's Champion. In 2019, she started the year and ended the year as champion. She started as NXT UK Women's Champion and ended it as NXT Women's Champion. And then in 2018, she won the NXT UK Women's Championship. So 2022, I think, was the first year, unless she won the 24/7 title, and I'm just not remembering, that she didn't hold a single title in WWE. So, interesting. But she did have a great year. She actually had her best character career year to date in 2022, and I'm so happy she won the Rumble. So they preview the Women's Chamber as far as who's announced so far. I think it's Asuka. I don't even remember. I think it's Liv Morgan, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, and Nikki Cross. Very random, I know, but they justified it in saying that they were the final four in the Women's Rumble, aside from those that won it, obviously. So those four, and then they also preview the qualifier next week. It's Michin, Candice LeRae, Piper Niven, and Carmella. Carmella backstage speaks to, I don't know if it was I think it was Byron Saxton. And Carmella's back, by the way. She's been gone for 6 months. I know she had some personal stuff going on, so I'm happy to see her back. She's doing the whole Staten Island princess gimmick again, so I thought she might have been a babyface, but she came across like a heel here, unless I'm wrong, I don't know. It looks like she's back to being a heel, which is what she was before she left, but she's just doing her old character, which I'm totally fine with. I'm the most beautiful woman in WWE gimmick, kind of got old after a while. So I'm glad she's switching it up again. Anyway, she says that she thrives in high-pressure situations. She's ready for Asuka, and she's excited to be back. There was a whole lot of other stuff she talked about, like wanting an icy because of what the blue stuff that was dripping from Asuka's chin on Raw. She talked about that shit. But beyond that, I like Carmella, and I'm glad she's doing something different. But it was a fun little interview. She didn't really say a whole lot of no, but I thought it was cool to see her back here on Raw Talk. Matt Camp in that 4-way next week, the Chamber qualifier for the women. He's favoring Piper Niven. We haven't seen her in a while. She's back to her roots as Piper Niven. Thank fucking God. And he's excited to see her do well on Raw, hopefully. They recap the ending to the show that saw Cody beat Finn Balor with help from Edge and Beth at ringside after they distracted the rest of Judgment Day. Matt Camp says that there's a lot of wrestling families, and it could be the Mysterios. He's talking to the Anoa'i family, blah, blah, blah. And Cody wants to be the most royal wrestling family, I guess, coming from the Rhodes family. And they preview that match for WrestleMania. They also discuss the bloodline implosion from the Royal Rumble, and that Sammy's outcome was kind of always expected as far as him being ousted from the group. But we did not expect, what was unexpected was the reaction from Jey Uso as far as him walking out and being torn. And I love Matt Camp. He is a historian, and I love the fact here that he acknowledged that it was Jey Uso in that exact same spot that Sammy's in right now 2.5 years ago. When Roman first kicked off his Universal Championship reign, he fell in line, Sammy fell in line, he sees himself in Sammy. The storytelling there, intentional or not, at this point it is intentional, I'm not sure if that was always the point, is fucking amazing. So I love all that. And they also plug Cody Rhodes, speaking of whom, as well as Grayson Waller before NXT Vengeance Day on Saturday for the bump coming up on, it was today as I record this. Yesterday is when this goes up on Thursday, but they were on the bump this week, so check it out if interested. And that was Raw Talk for January 30th, 2023. Good episode here. We heard from the returning Carmella, which was cool. We heard from, who else did I mention? We heard from Austin Theory, the United States Championship, and Bronson Reed in what was probably, I think, his Raw Talk debut. And not only that, but his first full-length promo since coming back, or since coming to the main roster on WWE TV. So, pretty good stuff here, and I enjoyed a good Royal Rumble Fallout episode of Raw Talk. So thank you guys for checking out my review. Appreciate it as always. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And a lot of content coming from Royal Rumble weekend at some point. I'm terrible with uploading stuff on time, so just bear with me. Stay subscribed, though. If you haven't already, hit the bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.